Guys, can we talk about something?
Can we just talk about...
Okay, so right now it is September 26th, and it is 90 degrees outside.
That's almost 91 degrees. That's incredible.
Do you remember that band? What is it?
98 degrees.
90?
Yeah, with Nick. And then they had the Newlywed show.
Yeah.
Was that called the Newlywed?
Tuna chicken? Is that what she said?
No, she said, I know it's like chicken of the sea, but like, is it a fish? Oh, Jay
Ew.
Sims. We miss you.
Yeah, come back, girlfriend.
I have a riddle.
Ooh.
Are you ready?
No, because I'm so bad at these, but go ahead.
I literally just clicked on it and I just found it right now. This was not planned. Okay, so a murderer is condemned to death. He has to choose between 3 rooms. The first is full of raging fires. The second, assassins with loaded guns. And the third, lions who haven't eaten in years. Which room is the safest?
Can you say that again?
Sure. So you have to pick one of 3 rooms. The first one is full of raging fires. The second has assassins with loaded guns. And the third have lions who haven't eaten in years.
The second one.
With the assassins?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because you can make friends with them.
No, it's actually the third because
I was gonna say that.
Because lions who haven't eaten in years would have died of starvation.
God damn it.
Tricked ya. Gotcha.
Sure did. You got me.
You got
Hi guys, this is Esoteric Oddities. I am Sarah.
I am Jonathan.
I'll never forget that.
Never forget. And we've been listening to a podcast lately.
We have, this is 1010 would recommend.
It is called Just Another Murder Podcast.
I'll give it 5 stars, 10 stars.
So it's 3 Australian girls, Aussies, under.
That's what I told. That's what I told Jonathan when I was reviewing the podcast.
I love it. Their names are Casey, Samantha, and Sarah, and they pretty much talk about true crime.
We love it.
And murder. It's pretty rad. They get into a lot of stuff that I've never heard anybody else cover before, which is crazy.
Which is why it's so good, I feel.
Yeah. And they sound like they're a lot of fun, you know. Just
like
girls just want to have funs.
Just
Funds.
girly things.
Please donate money to us.
Help me, I'm poor.
For real. Also, we're hungry because...
Oh my god. So I told Jonathan that we're going to start this Whole30 diet. So basically it is no dairy, no soy, no pasta, no beans, with the exception of green beans.
That sucks because I love beans. I love refried beans. I love black beans.
No rice.
I love lesbians.
No quinoa, no tofu, no soy. Like, this is like you can't eat shit. So
no, you can't eat shit. That's on the
That's on the list. So I've been literally like raging for the past 2 days. I feel so bad that Jonathan has to deal with me.
But for anybody who's concerned, we're not doing it to lose weight. Honestly,
no, not at all.
I'm doing it to help, like, with mental clarity and stuff. And if it works, it works. If I fall off, I fall off. But I think we can hold each other accountable.
So what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to detox your body and make you not crave all the bad stuff. Like, so I don't know how many of you eat something and then need something sweet right after, because I do.
I do. Or I just go straight to meth. Is that going to help? Sorry, triggered. Continue.
Yikes. So with a Whole30 diet, it's like it kind of tricks your body into not wanting that anymore.
Also, this is not sponsored.
Yeah,
this is just something that she found that I just found out about yesterday.
And literally everyone in my entire company is doing it. So
so we're just a bunch of sheep.
Literally.
Just a couple followers. But hi. Welcome.
Hey,
how are you doing today, Sarah? I wait until she takes a gulp to talk.
Always. I am okay. I'm hungry.
How about that kale, though?
I'm literally... Okay, so they put so much of nothing in the bowl and then had so much kale. So I have so much kale left over, so I'm going to go home and cook it.
She's talking about a salad she got.
Sorry.
You jumped in like half story.
Because I didn't want to mention where we got it. I don't know if we're allowed.
Oh, we're allowed. We got it from Sweet Green.
Yes,
The
shout out.
sweetest of greens.
So it's crazy because on that website, if you order online, you could go in and modify like no dairy, no meat, no soy, and it'll filter everything out that like has those products in it, which is really nice.
Oh, that is nice.
Just a little
hint
little heads up for Sweet Green
to make your Monday a little bit healthier. So what's the topic today?
We are doing arsons.
Arsons, because I love a good arse.
Because I love a good man that could light me on fire, light it up.
Yep, I sure do.
Or woman,
Or
no discrimination.
All right, love it. Perfect. It's 2017, so
It's 2017 and our world is really...
It's probably going to be funny for people who listen to this in like 20 years if it's still somewhere on the internet and they're like, heh,
oh my
2017.
God. It's like that Jonas Brothers song, 3000.
Yeah, that year's coming up real quick.
Literally.
We're about to be underwater.
Literally, though.
All right, so I'm going to go first. And
that sounds really...
Stop fapping over there, girl. I told you it's not Fappin' Friday yet. So this is the Pillow Pyro. So on the evening of October 10th, 1984, in South Pasadena, California, most people were at home watching the Detroit Tigers play the San Diego Padres in the 1984 World Series. But for others, it was about
baseball?
to... Yes.
Okay, sorry.
But for others, it was about to be a day they would never forget. So 18-year-old Jim Obdon was working at Ole's. It's O-L-E-S. I think it's Ole's. Ole's Home Center hardware store. At 7 p.m., the fire alarm sounded, and he noticed at the front of the store was covered in smoke. And before he knew it, there was a wall of flames blocking the entire entrance. And then the power went out, so he struggled to help customers find the emergency exit through the thick smoke and blazing heat. After minutes of what felt like hours, Jim escaped, but not unharmed. Still in shock, he touched his head to find that his ears were singed badly. He grabbed his left arm, and the skin fell off.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude, but imagine that.
That was so rude. Why would you say that? That was really rude.
You're so rude.
I just picture when you go to KFC or Kefk, like you used to think it was.
Oh my God, that was
and you
so bad.
You peel off the skin, like that's what happened on his arm. It just slid right off.
Well, the thing, I didn't want to be rude because, like, obviously this man is going through some shit, but, like, that's gross. It's like, imagine being like, oh, well, another one bites the dust. Like,
it just like flops on the ground.
Slide off. Right.
I guess that is the fastest way to lose weight, though. Just cut off cut off an arm.
Sign me up.
We should make that diet. All right, we're about to get real offensive, so we're just gonna cut it the leg. We're gonna cut off to lose weight. Okay, so firefighters and first responders covered the scene, attempting to rescue as many people from the burning hardware store as possible, but unfortunately, not everyone made it out. 4 people died in the fire. Among them were store employees, 26-year-old Carolyn Krause. Are you laughing?
No, I'm laughing because you're holding the mic like that.
I'm holding the mic, but I'm literally announcing the dead people, and you choose to laugh now. I am holding the mic, though. All right, so all due respect, okay?
All due respect, for real, sorry.
Okay, so among them were store employees 26-year-old Carolyn Krause, 17-year-old Jimmy Santina, as well as 50-year-old Ada Deal and her grandson, Matthew Troidel, who was only 2 years old.
No.
I know. So after the fire was doused, investigators searched through the charred rubble for clues of the fire's point of origin. But when they initially struggled to find where the fire started, it was reported as accidental. Then fire investigator and Glendale Fire Department Captain John Orr refused to believe that this fire was accidental. He searched further and found that it actually had started in the patio furniture section, which the fire initially ignited under a polyurethane thing.
Amazing. You're doing amazing, sweetie.
Thank you. Polyurethane cushion by an arson. Months later, at another Olay's hardware store on the other side of town, another fire broke out. But this time, they found the point of origin in a bin of pillows. Investigators found an incendiary device, which is a small object that is used to start fires. In this case, it was a full cigarette. So picture a full cigarette. And at the base of it, where the butt is, there is matches that are like circled around it. And the matches are rubber banded to it. And this was, what year did I say? 1984. So back then they didn't, like nowadays, cigarettes, if you don't smoke them, they go out because they have like a fire safety thing. But back then they didn't have that. So you could light it.
This is probably why they got it.
Yeah. So if you light, also people were falling asleep. And like, I know somebody I went to high school with, his mom like fell asleep with a lit cigarette. And it like went up.
No.
It like hit her blanket. Yeah, so they do it for that. But back then, at this time, they did not have that. So if you lit a cigarette and you weren't puffing on it, it would still burn slowly. So essentially, you light the cigarette. It like gives you enough time for the arson to like get out without looking suspicious. And then the cigarette ignites the matches, and then the whole thing is wrapped in paper, so it ignites the paper, and then it all goes up in flames. So they found that, and investigators knew that they had an arson on their hands. I love that word, arson. I love a good art. But they had no leads. And also keep in mind that they didn't really have security cameras back then, and if they did, it probably looked like they filmed it on like a fucking toaster.
A VGA.
Do you remember Game Boy, when they came out with the Game Boy camera thing?
Yeah, oh my god.
Oh my god, it was so bad.
So bad.
It was so bad, but I was like, wow, look at this quality. I'm on the Game Boy. It was awful. Okay, so then in January of 1987, another series of fires erupted locally within a tight time frame. Arson investigator Marvin Casey mapped them out and noticed that they were all along Highway 99. Which was especially particular because it was around the time that an annual arson investigator convention was in Fresno, which is along Highway 99, or you got to take Highway 99 to get there. Just noises in my house. My house is haunted too, by the way.
No, it's like for real haunted, and I'm so mad you have that picture of me down here.
I'm sorry.
I only get put in the basement.
I know, I'm sorry. I meant to throw it out. So, Marvin Casey went to one of the scenes of the fires, got his hands on the incendiary device that had not fully burned. So the piece of paper somehow was still intact. So he sent it away to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF, as I will refer to it later, where they tested it, and they found a fingerprint.
A fingerprint.
So they tried to match it to anyone in the FBI criminal database, but they found no match. Then, in March of 1989, yet another series of fires appeared along the California coast in close conjunction with another conference that the arson investigators were going to in Pacific Grove, California. Interesting. Casey formed the theory that the arson they were after was actually an arson investigator.
Did you put that, interesting in the thing?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I do stuff like that.
Asterisk. Pause here for dramatic effect.
No, but for real.
So when Casey went to the head honchos of the arson investigators with this claim, they were almost pissed at him for accusing an investigator would do such a thing.
Almost pissed. Not quite.
No, they were like, they were almost pissed, but they were trying to be professional. They were like,
Oh.
Then they told him they refused to fingerprint any of the investigators Casey suspected, claiming that it would take too much time.
Okay, so I guess you don't want to figure out who it is?
That's what I'm saying. He's like,
Okay.
I got a book full of Sudoku puzzles that I really got to tackle today.
So, like, that's more important.
Yeah.
Poor Ollie's.
Olays.
Olay!
So Casey took it upon himself and began comparing a list of attendees from the Fresno conference to a list of those who attended the Pacific Grove conference. And he found that out of the 100 people, 10 people attended both. So ATF agent Mike Matassa joined the case. he went directly to the LA County Sheriff's Office to analyze the fingerprint that Casey had. So they ran it through their system, and it didn't match up with anyone in their database. However, it did match up with someone who had applied for a job there. John Leonard Orr, the arson investigator who had first claimed that the first hardware store's fire that killed 4 innocent people, including that 2-year-old, he was the one who said that that was not an accident. So years prior, I'm going to rewind it a bit. Years prior, in 1981, John Orr had applied to be a police officer. He passed all of the tests to gain entry except for one, the psychological test.
Oh, yikes.
So instead, he joined the fire squad. He raised his ranks and quickly became the captain and arson investigator. So coworkers thought Orr was strange. He chased down shoplifters and burglars in his fire truck. But they admired his dedication and his uncanny ability to be the first firefighter on the scene. He always knew where the hydrants were, and he knew the best way to put out each fire. And he always knew how to find the cause of the fire.
Because he started them.
So now, the two investigators, who was Casey, who is someone who pretty much works with John Orr, and the guy who works for the Alcohol and Tobacco Federal Bureau bullshit thing. Those are the two people. It's not bullshit. I'm sorry. Y'all did a great job. But so these are the two people who I'm saying when I'm saying investigators. So now the investigators had a suspect, but John Orr's fingerprint only linked him directly to one of the fires. So they were certain that all the fires that were happening were started by the same serial arson. So they planted a tracking device on his car. In 1991, Orr drove to the Warner Brothers studio in Burbank. Shortly after, a fire burst out on the set of a television show in close proximity of where his car was parked. So Matassa and Casey watched Orr's location as he drove home. Then, the dispatcher sent him an alert and intentionally gave him the wrong address. Regardless, Orr responded and went to the proper address at the Warner Brothers studio. So he wasn't listening to what address they were giving him. He basically was like, oh, I'm sure that's probably where I just started the fire. So they were watching him go to the address.
Yeah, I know, because he thinks he's slick.
He thinks he's a slick Rick.
And so you know where all the fires are because you've been starting them, John.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Don't give me that look. I didn't start the fire. I don't want a copyright lawsuit. Sorry.
I'm saying.
So under suspicion, the police got a warrant, and searched the home of John Orr. So in their thorough search, they found a bag which contained cigarettes, matches, rubber bands, and paper that matched the paper with his fingerprint on it. And on a bookshelf, they found home videos. One tape showed a massive hillside mansion in California. The tape cuts to static and starts again on a blurred image. The date at the bottom of the VHS indicates that 18 months have passed since the last clip was shot. It came in focus to show footage of the same house on the same hillside with the camcorder operator standing from the same spot. But this time, the mansion was burning in a raging inferno. Yeah, so the footage proved that whoever was operating the camera had gotten there before the police were notified. Spoiler alert, the man operating the camera was John Orr.
Because he started the fire.
Yeah, but he was there 18 months earlier. He looked at this house. He picked it. He videotaped it. He waited a full, year and a half. And he went back, stood in the same spot after he lit that bitch ablaze.
Sir, these people, I need them to
just get it together. Come on.
come on. In what world would that make sense to do that?
Well,
because you're caught now.
Strap on, because it's
yes,
about
sir.
to get a whole lot creepier.
Don't gotta tell me twice.
Okay. So, upon further investigation, they found a manuscript for a novel Orr was writing called Points of Origin, and the plot line of his book seemed all too similar.
Fire.
So the novel followed a firefighter who lived a secret life as an arsonist named Aaron Stiles. In one chapter, Aaron used the same exact incendiary device that Orr had used to start the fires. So some of these fires Aaron set while on his way to an arson investigator conference on Highway 99. He's basically confessing that all that shit was him.
I know, without saying it, so you might as well just fess up.
Mine as well. Sarah and I always talk about things that people say that we hate.
Oh my god.
The original was
Mitch-match.
instead of like mix match.
Like Mitch, like M-I-T-C-H, match.
Mitch match. So now we say it, but also like instead of people saying mine as well.
Might as well.
Like might as well.
They say mines.
Mine as well.
Mines as well. What?
Any huevos. Okay. Now I gotta get serious because one of the fires that the fictional character Aaron started was in a hardware store called Cal's and killed a few employees as well as a woman and her grandchild, a 2-year-old named Matthew.
Oh my god, John, get it together.
The same name as 2-year-old Matthew Troidel, who died in a fire. That's so...
He just wanted to be in jail.
Yeah, but that's so disturbing. He that happened. He started the fire and then he wrote it in. He wrote it into a fictional book.
He probably started the fire to write it into the fictional book.
Oh wait, we get to why he started the fires. So,
but wait, there's more.
In the novel, Orr wrote that Aaron was not fazed by the deaths he caused. He claimed that people were stupid and it was their own fault. So this fucked up novel is basically the accounts of each fire Orr set from his perspective, and he felt no remorse, and he didn't even change Matthew's name in the book. So here is an excerpt from the novel where he writes from the perspective of the people trapped inside during the fire.
Amazing, because he knows exactly what they're going through.
Yeah. Are you ready? This is disturbing. So, the last thing she heard was a tremendous roar as the fire burned through the roof and vented to the outside. The smoke was momentarily lifted, but was then replaced by a solid fire as the entire contents of the annex exploded into flames. Their last breaths were that of 800-degree heat that seared their throats shut.
What?
How messed up is that?
So I guess is that what happens in a fire?
Well, mostly what kills you in the fire is smoke inhalation, and yeah, technically that could be the cause of it.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
It sliced their throat.
It sears it, it shuts it. It just boils that shit closed. You ever hold a lighter to a piece of plastic
I wish you guys
to close
could
a plastic bag?
See my face right now.
She's shook. So after the hardware store, this is in the story. After the hardware store burns down, in that chapter, he's saying that in that fire, the investigator said that it was accidental, and Aaron wanted the cow's fire to be called arson. He loved the attention, and he loved the attention he derived from the newspaper coverage and hated it when he wasn't properly recognized.
That's why he started outing himself, because he couldn't stand that it was looked like someone else.
No, he wasn't outing himself. John Orr, he was keeping this shit a secret.
Oh.
He wanted to be a secret arson. He got off on this stuff. He wasn't trying to hint at himself. He got sloppy.
Sure did.
So he wasn't trying to be found out. He got found out.
You got found out.
Yeah. So Dion Williams is an arson profiler and president of the nonprofit Center for Arsons Research, and stated that arsons and serial arsons want to be acknowledged of how clever they were. They truly feel smarter than everyone else. They don't think that they're going to get caught. So that's what it is. He wanted to pick up a newspaper and see that nobody could find who this arson was. But it wasn't arson. It wasn't accidental. He wanted to see those numbers rack the fuck up. He wanted to collect them. It's disturbing. So in the novel, Aaron called the fire his mistress and lover. Ooh,
God.
I'm gonna need to sit on a paper towel for this next part. Are y'all ready? To Aaron, the smoke was beautiful, causing his heart rate to quicken and his breath to come in shallow gasps.
Oh.
He was trying to control his outward appearance and look normal to everyone around him. He relaxed and partially stroked his erection as he watched the fire. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God, sir. You're gonna...
Yes, to the fire.
On the fire?
Excuse me. He was probably doing this while he was like standing by.
Oh my God, he's definitely one of those weird guys with their hands in their pants.
Yes,
sir,
and he's like, oh, I can't. I'm digging for Skittles.
How do you jerk it for fire?
Boy, you're not digging for Skittles. You fiddle in your Skittle.
Oh my God, Skittles. I want Skittles.
So, I'm sorry. I forgot. So it came to a point where Aaron could not even get aroused unless he was near flames.
Oh my God. Imagine if miraculously this man got some that he would have to like light
He'd
up.
have to be like, hey, by the way, let's go camping. Let's have a campfire. Let's get really close to this campfire.
Yes, let's light a candle and put a circle and let's like fuck
Let me
inside
heat
the
up those
circle.
s'mores inside that's like some satanic stuff. I kind of like that. Rock on.
Thanks.
Rock
off.
That this reminds me of time. Just a really quick side note. So back in high school, me and my friend Gabby used to hang out, have wine a couple of times when we weren't allowed to have wine back when we were 16, right?
Yeah, in high school.
So we went to, I do not condone underage drinking. I'm not here for it, but I was here for it. But I'm not anymore. So.
Yeah, because we're on this diet and we can't drink alcohol either.
Can I start the diet tomorrow? Can I reset? So listen, we went out to Walmart. We bought like the 100 thing of candles. Mm-hmm. Why am I even telling the story? So we
too late now.
Me and Gabby, we totally just friends, like straight up, never anything romantic. Clearly I like boys. But like we literally were just friends and we thought it would be cute. We were like, let's have a romantic date. So we made no-bake cheesecake. That sounds good right now. Sorry. And
literally
and we
cake and cheese. We can't.
We had wine and we had 100 tea candles. She had a hot tub in her backyard and we lit, I don't think we did all 100 of them, but I think we did like 75 all throughout her. It was lit, fam. So there we are, somewhat drunk, sitting in her hot tub, and we hear a noise in the yard and look over and there's a dog, just like a grown-ass dog coming near us. It comes up to the side of the, oh my God, I'm like reliving this embarrassment. Okay. So it comes up to the side of the hot tub, and then we hear a voice of like an older man yelling for the dog. Where her hot tub was, there was like an L fence, so you couldn't see where we were. But this man looking for his dog walks around, sees us in the hot tub, practically naked, with
naked,
all these candles lit with wine and cheesecake. This is a moment where you can literally be like, this is not what it looks like. But nobody's gonna believe it because it was not what it looked like. Oh my God. And then he couldn't get the dog was trying to eat the cheesecake and we were just like laughing and we were like, oh, it's okay. And he's like, oh my God, okay. Sorry, I'm just reliving it because it was so embarrassing. What do you do in that situation? And then she lives next to him.
Oh shit, it's a neighbor.
All right. Okay, now we got to get serious again because I stopped at an awkward time because this part gets kind of real. So, back in the novel. All right, let me get it together for the first time in my life. So, later on in the novel, Aaron raped and killed a girl. In real life, years prior, police found a girl who had been raped and murdered, then burned in a fire. Though the stories were nearly identical, through their investigation, there was not enough evidence to convict him, and they weren't 100% sure that he actually did this or wrote it in the book as an inspiration. I know, I'm stressed. Also in the novel, Aaron goes on to talk greatly about 2 other large-scale fires which ended the lives of many. Again, there was not enough evidence to convict him of this, but what they did find was 40 videotapes and 70 audio tapes archiving numerous fires that he had set and showed up to.
Oh my God. This man is so guilty. He's a rapist and an arson.
We can't throw that we can't throw that in there because we don't know for sure. That's a big claim to make, but it is speculated. So John Orr was thrown into prison in 1991. And by this time, he had been with the Glendale Fire Department for 17 years. So they don't know how long he was setting these fires that they were putting out.
Oh, shit.
But he was one of the head honchos for 17 years. He also faced 21 counts of arson in connection with fires in Burbank, Glendale, and Flint Ridge from 1990 to 1991, which included in those charges was the one from the Warner Brothers Studios backlot fire, which ended up destroying a set from the 1970s show The Waltons, which I've never seen before.
Never heard of it.
I think the show was long over, but the set was still there and it burned down the whole set. And in June 27th, 1990, there was a brush fire that destroyed 67 homes in College Hills area of Glendale. Like, think about that. He started one fire and it took down 61 homes. Like, that's everyone's shit.
Oh my God.
Like, I would be so devastated. Like, you're taking people's belongings and shit.
And you're literally...
Like, boxes of memories in their attics. Like, their old photos and shit that can't be replaced. Like...
No, in a home, like, they have nowhere to go.
It's seriously, it's beyond devastating. Like, when natural disasters takes everything families have. But this is like somebody intentionally was like, hey, I
want to fuck your shit up.
Yeah, so let me light this one fire and see what it can do just so I can, like... Oh, my God. Just one asshole who intentionally starts a disaster that ruins the lives of many. Just so he can think about the flames later when he's rubbing one out because his mail-order bride in the bed next to him, who's using him for citizenship, doesn't want to touch his sad baby elephant trunk-looking wrinkly-ass pecker.
Did you write that all down?
No.
Oh.
Just a stream of consciousness. All right, yeah, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if he had a mail-order bride, but I can only imagine.
What he had. He probably had one of those dolls that you order online.
Oh, no.
Have you ever seen that movie?
Lars and the Real Girl?
Mm-hmm.
Orr was only charged with 5 counts of arson, 3 counts of attempted arson, and was later convicted by a superior court jury of setting the fire to the home center stores. He was charged with 4 first-degree murder counts from that 1984 blaze.
And he didn't
the hardware store.
Charged with all of those houses that he...
They didn't have enough evidence. They like brought the charges up in court, and I guess the jury didn't think that they had enough evidence.
Speaking of jury, I have jury duty.
Do you?
Yep.
When?
I don't know. I didn't look at the thing. All I
You
saw
should
is
look at the thing.
It's your turn.
Oh, God. You know what's crazy? A couple years ago, I had 2 dreams right in a row that I got jury duty. I woke up the next day and Jason got jury duty.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the next day. Crazy. But on record, John Orr is labeled as a mass murderer. He was sentenced to life plus 20 years in prison without the possibility of parole on September 17th, 1998. In January of 2003, the Department of Homeland Security released a U.S. Fire Administration and Technical Report Series special report for firefighter arsons. That's the whole title of it. That's a mouthful. That's what she said, which highlights John Orr's case. So when he left the fire department, they were seeing around 60 to 70 fires a year. After he was arrested, that number dropped to 3.
Are you...
So they think...
Light him all up.
They theorized that, like, including the time when he was a child, well, not a child, but maybe like a young adult, that he set over 10,000 fires in his life.
Holy
but
shit.
John Orr won't admit that he's ever struck a match.
Why? Just, sir, like, submit it.
He killed 4 people.
More than that. 61 people in those houses.
That was never proven. So that could be... Well, also, that's 67 houses that people could have escaped from because it was a brush fire. So, like, not...
That just really makes me mad. Like, all the other stuff makes me mad, but, like, he intentionally, like...
He's intentionally doing this, and he didn't stop when he killed an old woman and her grandbaby
2-year-old.
who were just at a home center hardware store trying to cop a nice white wicker futon for the front porch. Like, God damn it. I say he should get a pole stuck up his ass and through his mouth.
I'm sure he did.
He should be put on a mega-sized rotisserie like the ones you see at Walmart, the ones that they never clean. Roast him slowly so that 800-degree fire can just sear his throat closed until his skin is Boston Market grade crispy. Then throw him in a jail cell with Omaima Nelson. Check out our last episode if you don't get that reference.
Oh, yes. Omaima, my girl.
Oh, my, oh, my.
Oh, mama.
So he clearly doesn't care about the livelihood of others. He is consciously murdering people in one of the slowest and worst ways possible. And he doesn't even know who his victims are. He just, tossed a match into a stack of pillows.
Light him up.
Whoever it kills, it kills. An eye for an eye might make the whole world blind, but you don't need your eyes to feel the heat of the fire. That one I wrote down. I thought about that, and then I said it out loud, and I'm proud of myself.
Stop.
10 out of 10.
You wrote that down?
I did. I'm a freaking poet. Leave me alone.
I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it.
No, I knew it.
Oh.
That came to my mind, and I said, God damn it, somebody give me a book.
Down.
All right, so I need to stop.
You should really publish that book you've been writing.
I should. But that's besides the point. All this stress is not going to be good for my basketball game tomorrow.
Oh my God, why do you keep saying that?
Because I got to get ready for my basketball game.
I have to get ready.
All right, so that's John Orr, the asshole arsonist. Sorry, headphone wearers. I got a little passionate.
Yeah.
That's so... I don't
Usually
know.
I'm the one yelling.
I don't know. I got a little pissed at the last one.
No, I'm like all the way pissed. I like your middle finger. Jonathan has his 2 middle fingers painted black and nothing else. Like no other fingers, just the 2 middle ones, and that's it. I love it.
Listen, I decided that I was going to paint one fingernail black for every Avril Lavigne album I listened to in one sitting. I listened to a total of...
He's flipping me off right now.
Almost 30 Avril Lavigne songs. And I went to Rap Genius so I could see the behind the scenes of what she was thinking while she wrote it. I'm just kidding. I didn't do that. But I
Oh my God, speaking of Avril Lavigne, that Avril Lavigne theory, girlfriend, if it is real, give us a sign.
Blink if you're being held hostage. When I was little, I always didn't like the word hostage because it reminded me of
hot dogs.
Sausage, which then correlates to hot dogs.
Animal butt.
Animal butt?
Hot dogs are animal butt.
Are they?
Sure are.
I haven't had a hot dog in a long ass time. I never liked hot dogs.
I had a hot dog at the Phillies game and I threw the fuck up.
So Sarah and I went to a Phillies game and
you
had mustard all over your shirt.
All over myself. I had
all over yourself.
3 drips of mustard on my shirt. I was
You were trying to get on the Jumbotron so bad, and I was like, Sarah, I'm being your friend right now. You don't want to appear on that Jumbotron. You're going to be on TV, and you're going to regret it because you had mustard all over your titties.
I was a mess.
She yelled at a 12-year-old, but we won't get into it.
12-year-old, I kissed the bartender.
This is Esoteric Oddities. That's Sarah.
Literally. Okay, my story isn't as heartbreaking as yours. But it's kind of sad.
Okay.
But it's crazy because you'll see that these arson stories have similarities. But I'll talk about that when I'm done because I don't want to ruin the story.
Don't ruin it.
All right. In 1980, while working at a community bank in Texas, Ed Graff allegedly tried to embezzle his employer. Ed ended up paying more than $75,000 to the bank to avoid prosecution. Ed Graff was said to be the most possessive husband ever by his ex-wife Claire. It is also speculated that he cheated on his wife at his bachelor party. According to his ex-wife, he was also accused of beating his adopted stepsons, Joby and Jason, with boards and belts.
With boards? Oh my.
In 1988, Ed Graff was a convicted murderer. I picture that SUV. SVU.
Oh my God, just like a Hyundai rolls through like a Kool-Aid man, just like... Ew,
what is wrong with me?
SUV though.
SUV.
Okay. Law and Order SUV. On the go.
It's a car version.
Oh,
especially heinous crimes to cars. Okay. In 1988, Ed Graff was a convicted murderer. Prosecutors argued that 2 years prior, on August 26, 1886, what?
Hold on, I had something in my mouth. What year was that?
August 26th, 1886?
18?
That's what it says.
You better backspace that.
It was definitely 1986.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was like, wow, where did he get that time machine? Are we okay?
I don't think we're
We
good.
took 1 week off of doing the podcast, and here we are.
Struggling. Okay. August 26th, 1986. I don't think I'm good. See, this not eating thing is really getting to me. Okay. Graf had punched Joby 9. And he also punched Jason.
Who's Joby 9?
8.
Oh my God.
He's 9 years old.
But you didn't listen. You said he punched Joby 9. First off, what kind of name is Joby? No offense out there.
Joby, that's what they said.
Okay, so he was
Talk
9
to
years
Claire.
old. Oh my God, Claire.
Joby, 9 years old.
Okay, thank you.
And
No, I
Jason.
literally thought you said Joby 9.
8 years old, knocking them both unconscious, hit him with the 1-2, you know? He then placed the boys in the back of their family shed. He then spread gasoline, locked the shed, and set the shed on fire with the boys still inside.
No.
The 2 boys were inseparable and passed away from inhaling smoke and severe burn. On the day of the fire, Ed told his then wife the news, now his ex-wife.
Mhm.
The parents of the boys had been informed that only one body of the child had been found, not both. It doesn't say who.
What? How are they just gonna leave that out?
Right.
Well, wait. How were both of them declared dead?
They burned to death.
I know, but where's the other one?
They don't know.
But what? You can't declare them both dead if you can't find one.
Stay tuned.
Okay.
This was a very important piece of evidence that would pile up to convict Graf for his heinous crime and attempt to keep his troubled marriage together. Now, I don't know about you, I'm not a marriage counselor at all, but killing the children, I don't think would really keep me with someone. But, like, I don't know, it's just like, what thought process?
People are nuts. I didn't use the C word. That C word I'm referring to is crazy, not the other C word.
See you next Tuesday. There was, of course, other small clues to Graf's guilt. On record, there is multiple witnesses that say they saw a gasoline container on the porch. It is said that Graf also acted strange after the fire. He suggested the boys to be buried in one coffin. Right. But there was only one body.
When you got a ball on a budget.
There was only one body.
Also, really quick, I just learned today that gasoline doesn't have a smell. Like that smell that you smell. I thought...
No
okay,
way.
This could be fake.
You're lying.
This could be fake news. Fake news. Fake news. Unfollow me on Twitter. But I heard, this was today, like a couple hours ago, that they put that smell into gasoline so you know that your stove is running when, or like you're aware of it.
That's crazy.
Because I guess
love
like
that
carbon
smell.
I love that smell too, but I don't know how true that is because it smells like it's, I don't know. I could
Like,
look it
not
up,
good for you.
but I'm just gonna say it's a fact and roll with it because that's what the president does. Just putting it out
I
there.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And
Okay. I vouch for it.
I'm here for it. He also did not offer his then wife, it says consolation, but I think that's wrong.
He wasn't like consoling her. He
Yeah.
wasn't like, yeah.
Or apologies after dying in his care.
Well, Father of the Year.
A week after the death of the Graf's adopted stepsons, he returned $50 worth of new school clothes that he previously insisted they keep the tags on.
He was wait. So those kids were his stepsons?
His wife adopted these 2 kids in a previous marriage. Then married Ed, so they're his adopted stepsons.
So they were adopted. He didn't adopt them his own?
No, so
Okay, no, I get what you're saying. In her previous relationship, she had them with somebody else.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
In addition, a week before the fire, Graf took out $100,000 worth of combined life insurance for the boys.
Curious. Interesting how that would happen.
Sloppy. Everyone's so sloppy.
At this, okay, wait. Let me rewind. So when you're telling us the story, you're telling us he was convicted of murder and he murdered them. Did they know that he murdered them?
It's a twist. It's like, it's hard to explain without telling the story.
Okay, so I'll let you tell the story.
His real motive was to get the boys out of the married couple's lives. His wife testified that weeks before the fire, she threatened to leave Graff over his strict rules of Joby and Jason and take their newborn son, Edward III, with her.
Wait, what was this guy's name?
Ed
Oh, okay.
Graff.
Copy.
But I keep calling him by his last name.
Okay.
Although there were many speculations about the murder of Joby and Jason, there was scientific testimony by a forensic examiner by the name of Joseph Porter, an investigator with the State Fire Marshal's Office, that said based on his analysis of pictures of the remains of the crime scene, the door of the shed must have been locked from the outside. Joseph also said the fire was defiably incendiary.
Incendiary?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Big words here on Esoteric Oddities. Big words.
Which means, I figured out what it means because I was like, I don't know what that means. And I assume that no one else does. So it means designed to cause fires. Another top fire investigator from New York, who was notorious for his report on Osage Avenue, also said there was no doubt that this was no doubt arson. This was enough for the jury to pronounce Ed Graff guilty of capital murder.
Not even lowercase murder.
If you guys wanna,
that shit was uppercase.
If you guys wanna follow a really good arson story, this Osage Avenue is a really good one.
Osage?
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of sausage.
Right.
Which reminds me of hot dogs. No.
The,
touchy subject?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's
okay.
really touchy.
I'm done.
The jurors then had to decide the punishment. Because of Graff's heinous crime to kill 2 boys by arson, the jury decided the death penalty was the best fit. Texas loved doing the death penalty.
Oh, they still do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Texas, and there's like one other state that if you... Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Charles McDonald's defense attorney on the case gave a plea that basically suggested Ed Graff was innocent and would be an act of injustice if they decided to give the death penalty. He quotes, "I'm asking for this man's life because you did make a mistake. There's going to be some folks somewhere down the line. It may be years, but maybe the mistake can be corrected," McDonald argued. "If you take this man's life, there ain't no way to ever correct it." The jurors decided to lift the death penalty and spare Graff's life.
I'm so sorry. No, I was listening and I'm not trying to laugh, but I was trying to look something up. I'll say it when you're done.
No, say it.
No. I don't want to. Go ahead.
Are you looking up Ed Graff?
No, I'll tell you when we're done. I'm like crying.
22 years later, in a bad way?
No.
22 years later, Texas Court of Criminal Appeals decided that a mistake was made. It was found out that the investigators who testified that the fire was arson used discredited junk science. A state review panel set up to examine bad forensic science in arson cases said that the evidence did not point to incendiary fire. A top fire scientist proved that the way the 2 boys had died from inhaling carbon monoxide rather than burns, this proved the death to be accidental. Just wait.
Oh, no.
The defense's theory was that the boys, who multiple witnesses said had a history of playing with matches and cigarettes, had set the fire themselves. Attempted to put it out, it had been quickly overcome by carbon monoxide poisoning. One man by the name of Todd Willingham saved Graff's life. This case was reviewed a quarter of a century after Graff barely escaped the death penalty. Todd was convicted based on similar faulty scientist evidence. What?
So, like scientific evidence.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to say. The testimony of a jailhouse informant who said he was bribed of murdering his 3 children by setting their house on fire 2 days before Christmas in 1991. Wilmingham was executed 11 years ago. Only after his death was it revealed publicly that the forensic evidence used to convict him was incorrect. In 2009, the New Yorker's David Grand wrote an article describing Texas's flawed case against Todd. The story sparked a national uproar over forensic science and the death penalty.
Graff's was then retried, and it was determined that the original investigators had made critical mistakes. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals agreed, overturning the original conviction. Graff's successful appeal proved that Texas was serious about correcting past forensic errors, but his story was far from over. Prosecutors in Waco were not convicted of his innocence. They felt that they had enough evidence to reconvict. Just because the forensic science was flawed didn't change the fact that in the eyes of prosecutors, Ed Graff was a bad employee, a bad husband, and a bad father. A man capable of murdering his adopted children. There was a new trial, and Graff became the first man in Texas to be retried for arson murder that had been overturned thanks to advances in fire science. His new trial set up a clash between modern forensics and the old way of pursuing criminal justice in Texas. Are you ready for this last part?
Okay, I don't know.
Graff ended up pleading guilty and serving well-deserved time in jail.
He pled guilty?
Yeah.
Did he have like a plea bargain, do you know?
I don't know, it didn't say, but he
could have pled guilty because they had they were like, damn.
Either way.
Yeah.
Like, all that.
Wow, that's rough.
But it's the same in both cases because they have a hard time convicting people of arson. And I don't understand. That
reminds me of this one story of, I shouldn't even call it a story. It's like a case. And it's true of this, this woman who was convicted of murdering her child because it looked like it looked like she set the house on fire and it started in the baby's room. But it ended up actually being lightning that struck like something in the roof or something in the attic that shot down through like a telephone wire that was under the baby's crib. But the woman was in jail.
No way.
Yeah, she spent like a couple years in jail or a couple months in jail. And then they finally found out that she didn't belong there. Yeah, that's crazy.
God, that's really crazy.
That's also a reason why we don't have to get too deep into it because it's political and people have their choices and it's a touchy subject because it's one extreme or the other. But like, for people are like either for the death penalty or against the death penalty because of cases like that where people are found, because there have been a lot of recorded cases. There's actually, when I worked at Lush, we had a bath bomb that we sold. I think it was called 13 states or 14 states. It's some number, and it's the states that still have the death penalty. And I got to meet the group of people who like started it because it was like a nationwide bath bomb that they were selling, but it just so happened that the company that like came up with this whole thing or it was funding was in Philly. So I got to meet the people who are part of that, and everybody who's in there was convicted and like sat on death row. And then after they were like sentenced to death, they weren't sentenced to death. They were proven that they were actually innocent. Yeah, sounds crazy. I know, but then it was like weird because customers like would. A lot of people wanted to like be like, well, how would you feel if they like did this? And I was like, ma'am, like I'm selling this bath bomb. I'm just trying to make you smell good. That's just maybe relax a little bit. Touchy subject. That was a good story, good twist. But do you want to know what? Okay, so I was looking up to see like what the real smell of gas is to see if what I said was like actually true.
Yeah. Because
I heard it somewhere. I didn't look it up. And then I blurbed it out my mouth like any millennial does on the internet.
I'm saying.
So I looked up, okay, let me tell you what I Googled. So I typed in smell of real gas. Would not suggest, because the first article that comes up is why some farts smell so much worse than others.
Oh my God. That's something that I feel like it just comes up on your computer because all you talk about is farts.
That's not all I talk about. Are you kidding me?
Is this a forum?
No, it's an article that somebody wrote. Somebody wrote a whole article. Oh man. Do you have a fun fact?
I do.
Let's lighten the mood. Do you want me to tell my fun fact first, or do you want to go?
Let me do it.
All right, go ahead.
It would take a sloth 1 month to travel 1 mile.
Oh my God, 1 mile per hour. Living life in the slow lane.
I wish that was me.
Live slow, die whenever.
I love that.
I know, I saw that on a pillow.
But like live fast, die young, cause...
Are you ready for my fun fact?
Yes.
So, the average person spends 6 months of their lifetime waiting on a red light to turn green. But I ain't no average person, honey. I'll tell you that.
Run the red light.
That sucks. 6 months of your life. We both had something that took a really long time. A sloth.
Wait, no, but
Imagine a sloth at a red light.
I just realized the other day that we have 24 hours in the day. We work for 8, we sleep for 8, and then we only have 8 to like do things we want to do.
Most of it's transit to and from work.
Right. So less than that. 7 hours, 6 hours.
We just out here living.
7 hours a day, that's it.
Also, another fun fact. 200 years from now, we're all going to be dead. How will you leave your mark?
Oh.
You can leave your mark by rating us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating because
please,
we really need the ratings.
Without those ratings.
Seriously, we appreciate you guys for listening. We really do. However, it has come to our attention that the ratings actually do really matter. And if you want this show to grow as much as we do, which if you're tuning in now on episode 9, we hope that you do, please give us a rating. It'll just take 2 seconds. I know that sometimes it won't actually let you rate, but if you search us with the little magnifying glass, you type in our name, Esoteric Oddities, find us, click the little rating button, slap us a 5-star if you want to. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, shout out and thank you to the people who have given us all the reviews thus far. All 5 stars, so thank you. We really appreciate it.
Love it.
If you love us, like we love you, you can follow us on Instagram at Esoteric Oddities. Follow us on Twitter at Esoteric Oddity, ODDITIE. Shoot us an email at odditiespodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook. We post a bunch of fun stuff, fun articles, fun shit for yo and your ugly friends to read in your living room.
I post so much stuff on Facebook.
So much. And subscribe so you will listen to our beautiful mouths make beautiful noises every Monday. So thank you again for listening. We appreciate your time and your love for creepy shit.
Thank you, y'all.
Well, why do some farts smell worse than others?
Oh my God.